The world keeps hearing that the biggest issue between Iran and the United States is nuclear energy. Some say it is the Strait of Hormuz, others say it is sanctions, missiles, or regional influence. But if we step back and look at the entire battlefield stretching from Gaza to Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and Iran, another reality emerges. Gaza and Lebanon has become the heart of any future agreement between Iran and the United States. Because this story did not begin with nuclear facilities. It began on October 7, 2023 in Gaza. The Hamas attack on Israel triggered a chain reaction that reshaped the entire Middle East. Hezbollah quickly entered the conflict from Lebanon. The Houthis expanded attacks in the Red Sea. Iranian-backed groups across the region activated new fronts. What started as a war centered around Gaza transformed into a regional struggle over power, deterrence, and influence. But what many failed to predict was how quickly the battlefield itself would evolve. Hezbollah did not simply join the war symbolically. It adapted, it learned, and it helped introduce a new military reality that is changing the psychology of power across the region. One of the most significant developments has been the increasing use of fiber-optic FPV drones. Unlike traditional drones that rely on radio signals and can be jammed electronically, these systems use physical fiber-optic cables. They are unjammable. Similar technology has transformed battlefield in Ukraine, bypassing sophisticated electronic warfare to destroy heavily armored positions. Now, Hezbollah is using them to create entirely new challenges for the Israeli military. These drones are not simply striking military positions, they are striking the perception of military invincibility. And in this region, perception is often as important as firepower. This is why this conflict can no longer be viewed only through the lens of Gaza. Every battlefield is now connected to a much larger struggle over who will dominate the future Middle East. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has argued that Israel is reshaping the region and emerging as a dominant superpower in Middle East and beyond. And there is truth in one undeniable fact. Israel possesses one of the most advanced militaries in the world. But another reality exists alongside it. Its ability to sustain simultaneous conflict depends heavily on American support. Without Washington's backing, the strategic calculation would look dramatically different. Yet, despite one of the most devastating military campaigns in modern history, we saw an uncomfortable truth in Gaza. The hostages were not brought home primarily through military force. The major exchanges happened through the negotiations with Hamas. The very organization Israel vowed to destroy became the organization it ultimately had to negotiate with. That single fact should have been a signal. Military power can destroy infrastructure, but eventually diplomacy becomes unavoidable. And that is where the greatest crisis now exists. Not on the battlefield, but in trust. In October 2025, world leaders gathered in Egypt for Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit, led by President al-Sisi and U.S. President Donald Trump. With leaders from Turkey, Qatar, and 20 other nations, they signed a broad peace framework. And at the time, it was hailed as a diplomatic breakthrough. Trump supporters described it as a proof that he was the ultimate dealmaker. The room applauded, the declarations were signed, but what happened afterward is more important than the summit itself. The ceasefire never produced stability. Airstrikes continued, humanitarian restrictions remained, both sides accused each other of violations. And as we speak today, Israeli military operations inside Gaza are expanding. Netanyahu recently announced that Israeli forces control 60% of Gaza and are pushing towards 70%. 70%. Pause and think about what that number means. What message that sends to the presidents and kings who signed that peace framework? What does it say to leaders who took political risk based on American guarantees? This is no longer only about Gaza. It is about credibility. If a major agreement backed by the United States can be openly undermined while fighting continues, then every regional actor is forced to ask, can America guarantee any peace agreement anymore? This question matters most when Iran enters the conversation. From Tehran's perspective, the issue is no longer whether America wants a deal, it's whether America can enforce one. Iran believes its strategic position is now stronger. The Strait of Hormuz remains the world's most important energy choke point, and Tehran knows it. They aren't operating alone anymore. China has become their economic lifeline. Russia has expanded military cooperation. Alternative trade networks are bypassing the West through BRICS. For Washington, a conflict with Iran is no longer just a Middle Eastern war. It's a global economic catastrophe. That is why Washington needs stability in the Gulf far more than Tehran needs another broken agreement. And even if a deal is signed, there is the Lebanon trap. Hezbollah is the pillar of Iran's regional deterrence. For Israel, they are the most dangerous threat on the border. Recent development shows Israeli forces expanding operations north of the Litani River, striking Beirut and the Bekaa Valley. This is why a U.S Iran agreement cannot just be about nuclear centrifuges. Gaza matters, Lebanon matters, the Red Sea matters. Every front is connected. When agreements are signed while military operations continue, confidence collapses. When diplomacy is presented as a solution, but war continues uninterrupted, trust dies. And when trust disappears, military deterrence becomes the only language left. After years of war, Hamas still exists. Hezbollah is more battle-hardened and technologically sophisticated than before. Iran remains capable of threatening energy routes. The strategic objectives announced by Israel and the US at the start of this conflict remain unfulfilled. The Middle East stands at a crossroads. One path leads towards a new regional balance, the other leads towards widening conflict stretching from Gaza, Lebanon to the Gulf. Because if trust has truly collapsed, the next struggle won't just be about territory or missiles. It will be about who defines the future order of the world. And the most frightening part, every side still believes it can control the flames. History suggests otherwise.